So have you ever wondered if a massive blockbuster movie succeeds just because of, like, dumb luck?
Right, or if it's just the right actors at the right time.
Exactly. Or, and this is what we're looking at today, if there is actually this hidden scientific formula that is literally controlling your emotions while you sit in the theater.
It's a wild thought, honestly. We always want to romanticize the creative process, right? Like a brilliant script just falls from the sky and hits the writer like a lightning bolt.
Totally. But when you look at consistent, massive commercial success, that whole romanticized view just completely shatters.
Oh, absolutely.
Which perfectly sets up the mission for today's deep dive. We are unpacking a really fascinating profile of this Indian screenwriting powerhouse couple, Gautam Kashyap and Anuradha Umarji.
Yes, and their story is just incredible.
It really is. By unpacking their biographies, their media appearances, and some intense academic research, we're going to see how ancient philosophy and, like, rigid science are secretly engineering modern cinema.
It is so counterintuitive, but the evidence is all there.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to me, looking at a hit movie is a lot like looking at a magic trick.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Right. Like, to the audience, the trick just looks like pure spontaneous magic. You gasp, you're amazed. But behind the curtain, it's actually just rigorous math, timing, and mechanics.
Exactly. And the funny thing is, to understand the mechanics, we really have to look at the magicians first.
Which is hilarious because they do not act like masterminds.
Not at all.
Yeah.
There is this massive contradiction between how they describe themselves and what they've actually achieved.
Right, like if you read their bio, Gotham opens the profile with this intense self-deprecating humor. He literally jokes that they suffer from the, quote, disease of writing.
Yeah, and he even jokingly warns the reader, like, hey, buckle up, you're about to read this totally self-promoting, trumpet-blowing bio.
He claims they mostly just spend their time goofing off or, wandering around aimlessly.
And my favorite part is when he says that when people assume they're having these deeply serious intellectual discussions about a script, they're actually just fighting with each other.
It's just such a heavy deflection. It's that classic thing where highly competent people preemptively mock themselves.
Right, but then you contrast that humor with their actual real-world output. Take Anuradha Umarji, for example.
Yeah, her background is intense.
It really is. She started in the trenches of daily journalism at the Inadu Daily News.
Yeah.
She ground her way up to be a bureau chief.
Which is stressful enough on its own.
Exactly. But then she transitions to television. And she was single-handedly writing daily TV serials for 4 years straight.
Wait, single-handedly? For a daily show?
Yes, we are talking about a 400-episode run of a show called Pelli Chesukundam.
Oh my gosh, that is not just waiting for the muse to visit. That is an industrial assembly line.
Totally. Plus, she wrote for Chandramukhi and Vaisali. And then she translates that insane work ethic into feature films. She even won the 2010 Best Dialogues Award for the hit film Yamaya Chesalve.
So, okay, this is where the irony just peaks for me. You have this woman churning out hundreds of hours of award-winning content, and Gotham is joking that they just goof off.
It's the ultimate facade.
It's like a Michelin star chef serving you this perfect, complex meal and being like, oh, I just threw some leftovers together.
That is exactly what it is.
But Gotham actually gives the game away later in the profile. He explicitly highlights an English quote that just totally reveals their true mindset.
Oh, the quote about quality.
Yes. He highlights this quote: "Quality is never an accident. It is always the result of high intention, sincere effort, intelligent direction, and skillful execution."
I love that. And, if you're listening to this right now, just think about your own profession for a second.
Yeah, it applies to everything.
It really does. How often do the people in your office who work the absolute hardest playfully downplay their grinding effort just to make it look effortless to everyone else?
Oh, all the time. But that quote about quality not being an accident, that actually leads directly into Gotham's ultimate quest.
Right, because if success isn't just random luck, what exactly is the blueprint?
Exactly. And Gotham takes a really serious route to find it. He transitions from his work in radio plays and journalism to actually pursue a PhD at the University of Madras.
And he's working with some serious heavyweights there.
Yeah.
He was guided by Professor L.B. Sankara Rao and the legendary film director Padma Shri P. Bharathiraja.
So he's looking at the industry, and he notices that some films just completely fail, while others become massive hits.
And he moves way beyond the usual shallow industry excuses like, oh, the marketing was bad. He actually asks, is there real science to this?
Right. And he develops this thesis that every successful experiment needs a structure and like a grammar.
Yes, and this is where he goes way, way back. He bypasses modern screenwriting completely and goes backward in time to the 2nd or 3rd century BC.
Which is wild. He goes back to Sage Farada's Natyashastra, right?
Exactly, the ancient treatise on Indian dramatics and also the later expansions by Abhinavagupta.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, but I have to push back a little.
Yep. Sure, go for it.
Art is supposed to be entirely subjective, right? A movie hits you differently than it hits me. So how can you apply rigid terms like grammar or science to something as fluid as emotional resonance?
Well, what's fascinating here is that the context might be subjective, but human emotions actually aren't random.
Wait, what do you mean?
We are physiologically wired to respond to things. The ancient texts mapped out these universal human emotional triggers, which they called rasa, or aesthetic emotions.
So rasa is basically the science of triggering a specific feeling.
Exactly. Gotham simply took this 2,000-year-old aesthetic science and laid it over modern blockbuster scripts.
And it matched up.
Completely. He proved that every topmost blockbuster film has a perfect scientific aesthetic structure hidden inside its pacing. The ancient emotional math is literally dictating modern box office success.
That is just incredible. But okay, knowing the theory is one thing. How do Gotham and Anurata actually apply this ancient science in the modern, highly commercial film industry?
Oh, they use it constantly. Their filmography is vast. They've worked on films like Mar Charithra, Gaganam, and 180.
And they also do a ton of dubbing work, right?
Yes, providing dubbing dialogues for hits like Notha and Athaidi.
Which, by the way, dubbing is notoriously hard. If you just translate the literal words, it feels totally hollow.
Right, because amateur dubbing ignores the math. Gotham and Anurata use the grammar of rasa to translate the emotional beat. The words change, but the mathematical pacing required to evoke the feeling remains the same.
But that makes so much sense. It's like they're reverse engineering the scene's emotional structure.
Exactly. And Gotham is actually sought after as an industry expert precisely because of this methodology. He runs these A to Z cinema workshops to teach this stuff.
He also does a lot of radio interviews, right? Talking about the science of cinema.
Yeah, he did a great one in 2014 on FM Rainbow in Vizag. But one of the most amazing examples was his Rainbow TV interview, where he specifically decoded the success of RRR.
Wait, RRR, the SS Rajamouli film.
The very same.
That movie was a global phenomenon. People in America who had never seen an Indian film were, like, losing their minds in the theater.
Which perfectly proves Gotham's point, because rasa targets human biology, not cultural conditioning.
Oh, wow. So the structure of a scene in RRR triggers the exact same rasa of heroism, whether you're in Hyderabad or Ohio.
Exactly. He showed how the slow motion, the stakes, the pacing, it all mathematically builds to that specific aesthetic emotion.
And he even proved it works on a smaller scale, too.
Oh, you mean a short film?
Yeah, he applied these storytelling structures to his own 12-minute docufiction, An Encounter with Mahatma.
Released on Gandhi Jayanti in 2015, right?
Exactly. And even though it was a short film, it got massive coverage in major outlets like The Hindu, The Statesman, and The Hans India.
It just proves the architecture scales.
It's like an architect building a house. You can build a house that looks totally modern on the outside, like RRR, Yemaichi Save, but the foundation holding it up is using the exact same laws of physics discovered thousands of years ago.
That is the perfect way to look at it.
But, okay, this brings up a massive ethical dilemma for me.
Uh-oh. What is it?
Well, if you possess this scientific formula to basically manipulate audience emotions, what is stopping you from using it for purely cynical commercial cash grabs? You could just print money.
You absolutely could. But this brings us to their core values, which are remarkably strict.
Yeah, the profile was very clear about that.
Despite working in super commercial cinema, Gotham explicitly states they have never written anything vulgar, obscene, or harmful to society.
He even proudly claims they haven't passed a single bad message to the public.
Which is a huge flex when you consider how much content they've produced.
It really is. But where does that discipline come from?
It comes from a deeply philosophical view of the universe. If we connect this to the bigger picture, Gotham believes that absolutely nothing in creation is accidental.
So just like a movie has a script.
Exactly. Just as a blockbuster film requires a blueprint, he believes the universe itself has a great creator who is the ultimate artist.
Wow.
He believes every living being is born for a specific reason. So for these writers, the grammar of a screenplay isn't just a tool for making money. It reflects the grand, purposeful design of life itself.
That is so heavy.
It is. The profile actually ends with this profound quote about the pain of creation. Gautam says, "Scholars only understand scholars' efforts. A childless woman cannot understand the pain of labor."
So he's comparing the pain of writing a script to the pain of labor.
Yes, bringing something meaningful and positive into the world is painful, exhausting work. And he bows to all the selfless people working hard for society's peace and happiness.
So, what does this all mean? I think it shows that balancing commercial success with a strict moral compass is incredibly difficult.
Oh, incredibly.
But the science of rasa, this manipulation of emotion, it actually works best when the intentions behind it are pure.
I couldn't agree more.
Well, this has been an amazing journey today. We started with two writers joking about being lazy, right?
Yeah, completely downplaying themselves.
And we uncovered their incredible work ethic, discovered that blockbuster films are actually built on 2,000-year-old scientific formulas of human emotion, and learned that true artistic success comes from treating your audience with profound moral respect.
It completely changes how you watch a movie. And honestly, I have a final thought for you, the listener, to mull over as we wrap up.
Let's hear it.
If Gautam Kashyap is right, and every successful story and every person's existence has a structured, purposeful grammar behind it, it begs a serious question about your own life.
Oh, I like where this is going.
If someone were to analyze the screenplay of your life right now, looking at all your choices and struggles, what ancient underlying rasa or aesthetic emotion is driving your current chapter? And ultimately, is it building toward a masterpiece?